First of all, you have called 2026 an inflection point for the AI revolution. Take me inside that inflection. What's going to happen next year that hasn't happened this year?
I think it's really about monetization. I mean, monetization is going to be the key, specifically on the software side. We've seen Palantir, but I think it's ultimately Snowflake, MongoDB, and others. Look, this is now, it's the prove it moment. But I believe investors are actually underestimating the scale and scope of this AI revolution playing out, which is why we're so bullish. Again, it's year 3 of an 8 to 10 year bull market. It's a 1996 moment, not a 1999, 2000 bubble moment.
Well, Dan, let's talk about what you expect to see happen here. You say tech stocks are going to rise more than 20% in 2026. That is double digits, 20% here. Is that driven by an earnings reality, Dan, or is that just belief that AI monetization is finally going to show up in some of the balance sheets of these big names?
I think it's a combination. I think, look, right now investors are underestimating tech earnings. I think 15, 20%, just even going into the year. And I think as we see demand and supply continuing to increase, remember, only 3% of U.S. companies have gone down the AI path. So as this accelerates, and accelerates globally, because for the first time 30 years, U.S. is ahead of China when it comes to tech, clearly behind on energy. And I think it's going to play out across software, cybersecurity, chips. You look at Micron, you look at the memory players, SanDisk, what's happened with SK in Korea. This is now the second, third, fourth derivatives of AI playing out. And like we've said, I mean, it is a fourth industrial revolution. We talk about the AI party, started at 9 p.m. It's now 10:30 p.m. That party goes to 4 a.m.
Dan, JP Young here. We were speaking to Ed Yardeni yesterday about what his outlook is for the broader markets, and says that there should be possibly is a warranted rotation from the Mag 7 to what we call the impressive 493. But I'm wondering if this also means perhaps a rotation away from the Mag 7 towards the other parts of the tech space. Do you think that is a perhaps plausible thing to expect in 2026, and perhaps a warranted thing to start looking at other parts of the tech space outside of the Mag 7 that some might say might be a little bit too crowded despite all of the optimism and enthusiasm around it?
Yeah, look, it's a great point. Look, it starts with the Mag 7 because we're talking about, call it almost $600 billion of CapEx next year when we think about big tech. But it's about the multiplier, the ripple effect. For every dollar spent on a NVIDIA chip, there's an $8, $10 multiplier across the rest of tech. That's why you own, I mean, we have the Ives AI 30, Huin Software, cybersecurity, names CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, Nebius, CoreWeave, on some of the neo clouds. I think now it spreads. And also, you're going to see a lot of acquisitions. You talk about the Google acquisition. This is just the start. It's get the popcorn out moment. You are going to see a massive wave of consolidation in tech.
Dan, I wonder, though, I think that like 5G, we've seen that AI has proven that it will be transformative, not just for markets, but how various sectors do business. But I think the skeptics might point out that maybe we've gotten a little too ahead of ourselves in terms of valuations, perhaps a little too frothy, and maybe shifting from fifth gear to fourth gear on the valuation of some of these stocks might be warranted at the moment. What do you say to some of the skeptics that think that maybe we need to perhaps just shift down a gear with regards to where valuations have gone so far?
Yeah, and I almost think you shift up, right? I mean, to some extent, my view, think about robotics, autonomous. The AI use, if you my AI revolution hasn't even started on the consumer side. Enterprise, we've just scratched the surface. So I think it's one where you're going to have white knuckle moments. Think about 2025, Deep Sea, Liberation Day, U.S., China, and other issues, circular finance, and you'll have those. But the reality is, I think this is going to continue to be a pop the champagne moment for tech stocks because now the monetization plays out. And I think investors are underestimating what that's going to look like in terms of the trillions of dollars being spent.